Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to Scottsdale Unified School District Governing Board meeting. Today is February 9th. The time is 5:08 p.m. And if we could please stand for the pledge. Mr. Jackson, could you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we could have a roll call beginning with Mrs. Kirby.
Pam Kirby, Kim Hartman,
George Jackson.
Barbara Perleberg,
And Bonnie Sneed. All members are present and a quorum is present. Can I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
so moved.
I will second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion passes 5-0. I did. The next item on the agenda is student and staff recognitions and celebrations. Dr. Birdwell. Hi, Mike.
Thank you for coming. Is this on?
Yep, live.
Are you live?
Hit your live button.
Nothing like being the new kid on the block. Hit the live button. Thank you. And at this time, if I could ask Dr. Benson to come up, we're going to start with some National Board Certified Teacher Awards.
We're on here too, live? Fantastic. Good evening, Madam President, Governing Board members, Dr. Birdwell, Sandra, and all. It is with great pleasure that I invite the following teachers to the front of the podium this evening. Ashley Crows, Jennifer Fox, Jennifer Bethke, Kim Keck, Maureen Trainer, Patty Hanlon, and Sheila Fullerton. Just going to make sure we don't have Lori Jordan and Kelly Vanden Heuvel with us too, because they are also part of our fabulous 9. As you know, National Board Certification is one of the highest achievements in the teaching profession. Recently, 9 additional Scottsdale Unified School District teachers earned this credential by successfully completing the rigorous National Board Certified Teacher process. As a result of their successes, SUSD now has a current 85 NBC teachers employed in our district. The newly certified teachers are, and I'm going to say their names again in their schools, and then I'm going to allow you guys to turn around so the governing board can see you as well, and our lovely little camera. Ashley Crows from SAGUARO, Jennifer Fox Hopi, Jennifer Bethke Laguna, Kim Keck from Yavapai, Maureen Trainer from Tavan, Patty Hanlon from Copper Ridge, Sheila Fullerton from Kiva, and again, 2 of our new candidates, Kelly Vanden Heuvel from Redfield and Lori Jordan, couldn't be here with us tonight. Before we allow them to jet out and do their photo opportunity, I did want to celebrate that we currently have 12 additional teacher candidates who started last year and are continuing on this journey this year, and 5 new candidates just starting the rigorous process this year. So that's another 17 in this process in Scottsdale. We are unique in that we have a large participation of teachers that participate in the National Board Certification process. In part, that's because we've had support from the AZ K-12 Center, and we've had a group of rock star candidate support providers, and I'm going to ask them to stand as I say their names because they are part of the secret behind our success. Tammy Andreas, Susan Leonard, Abby Bobbitt, is Abby here? Bobby Faulkner, Mary Zengolowitz, Sharon Gattell, Christine Hawes, and Debbie Voris also provide support. finally, this opportunity wouldn't be possible in Scottsdale if we didn't have the ongoing support of our SUSD Foundation, and our Charos jumped on board to provide support for our teachers as well. And we've got a little rock star behind the scenes, Michelle Carskadden, who provides continuous support and coaching in the form of resources to our candidates. So at this time, please join me in welcoming the newest members to the National Board Certification. Pictures, yep, they're going to want to take photos.
Yeah. Great.
All right. Again, congratulations. And next we go on to the district spelling bee winner and 5 runner-ups.
Yes, again, we're all about celebrations this evening. We move from the teacher celebrations to our student celebrations. It is my pleasure at this time to invite the following students to join me at the podium. Omkar Barath, Sean Matthew, and we're going to do this in group and then we'll celebrate them individually. Sean Matthew, Tyler Velarde, and Hayden Mangan. Fantastic. Right in front. Did I get all of our spellers? Fantastic. So I'm going to talk a little bit about you. You ready? On Friday, January 22nd, just a few weeks ago, 25 of our students representing all of our elementaries, middle schools, and K-8s competed for the title of District Spelling Champion at SUSD's annual Spelling Bee. Once again, the competition was tough and the words challenging. Our Spelling Bee winner this year is Omkar Barath, 3rd grade student from Redfield Elementary. Can you wave so they can all see you? Can you wave, Russ? Wave. Wave. Do you remember your winning word? That a boy. The winning word this year was evocative. Runners up, and I'm going to have you wave as I say your name. Sean Matthew, 5th grade student from Hopi. Tyler Velarde, 8th grade student from Mojave. Hayden Mangan, 8th grade student from Mountainside. And 2 persons couldn't be with us this evening, Connor Dassinger, 5th grade student from Cochise, and JJ Fahy, 7th grade student from Cocopah.
I don't know.
Stay there. Our 6 SUSD students will join 39 other spellers from Paradise Valley, Cave Creek, Deer Valley, and Fountain Hills to compete in the Region 2 Spelling Bee, which is held February 18th at Arcadia High School. Also at this time, I'd like to congratulate all of the students that represented their schools and for their sportsmanship they continue to demonstrate as our district spelling bee. And I want to thank our Director of Curriculum, Dr. Diane Whitmore, and members of our curriculum team for coordinating both the district and regional spelling bees again in Scottsdale this year. Again, please join me in celebrating our district spelling bee winners. Thank you.
Now, at this time, we have our CHAPARRAL Spirit Line awards. Yep, they're back there and ready to go. So, bring them in.
All right. Who's got spirit? Come on in. Dr. Birdwell, thank you very much. Madam President and governing board members, we want to honor our CHAPARRAL Spirit Line for awards they have received. I don't know if Mr. Eubanks is able to make it with us tonight, so we'll recognize our students. Come on in.
Wow.
Over the weekend of January 22nd, the Chaparral Cheer and Pom teams competed in the AIA State Championships. The Chaparral 5-man stunt team came in third, the Pom's team came in second, and the Show Cheer came in first. The AIA then combined these scores for the 3 events to name the state championship. The Chaparral Ladybirds came in on top and are the AIA State Championship. Wonderful job, you guys. Also, do we have your coaches here tonight with you? Are they? Oh, no. Okay, we got some traffic problems. Well, I want to acknowledge their coaches. Shelly Singer is the cheer coach, and Kelsey Tomlinson is the Poms coach. Congratulations, you guys. And I think we're going to... I believe we're going to go out this way, and we're going to have a photo done, okay? And congratulations.
Nicely done.
And we're going to move right into the JV Poms.
Are they with us tonight?
And they are with us.
Come on.
All the way across.
All right, congratulations. The JV Poms teams won a national championship over the weekend of January 29th. The 2016 National Dance Team Championship took place January 29th through January 31st at Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida. The NDTC is administered by Universal Dance Association, a division of Varsity Spirit. The NDTC is the only national level dance team championship that is endorsed by the National Federation of State High School Associations, the National Service and Administrative Organization for High School Athletics and the Fine Arts. Congratulations, girls.
Yay.
And we're going to do a photo also.
Work. Great job.
Congratulations.
Picture time.
And at this time, we're going to bring forward Desert Mountain High School students' top art awards.
Yeah, if we could have Adrian James join me at the podium. Adrian? How about Mrs. Wilford, principal of Desert Mountain High School?
I think Adrian was coming. I think she's on the freeway.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's all right. We will
The town.
go ahead with the recognition. Congratulations to Desert Mountain High School art students whose work will be exhibited at the Scottsdale Center for the Performing Arts through February 21st. 16 works will be shown from Desert Mountain. Among the many students whose work will be juried to be in the show, Desert Mountain students won first, second, and third place. Photo 3 honors, 11th grader Adrian James won third place for the Arizona Partnership for Immunization Photo Contest. The theme was Visualize the Future. Dex Dulac won first place for her portrait that was inspired by this year's theme of Peace Through People. Her work will continue on to an international exhibit in Washington, D.C. in April. Elizabeth Lara won second place with her painting, and Adam Montoya won third place with his figure painting. All 3 of these students were unable to join us this evening due to their other commitments. We congratulate these talented students. And Mrs. Wilford, will you see that they get these for us? Okay. Thank you very much. And stick around, there's more. We'll just keep you up there.
Yes, and don't go away. So students representing Scottsdale at the State AMEA Conference, we have some more recognitions for Desert Mountain.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much, Dr. Birdwell. If Aubrey Cole and teachers Jennifer Moore and Michelle Irvin could join us at the podium, that would be great.
Hi.
Yeah, that's all right.
I know. I'm just waving.
Well, wave away.
Performing arts.
5 Desert Mountain students moved to Tier 2 and represented Desert Mountain at the State AMEA Conference at the end of January. They all received a superior rating. I want to recognize the following students: Aubrey Cole for voice, Renee Rule, flute, Nathan Borgoni, piano, Summer Beckman, voice, Emma Westerhoff, cello. Renee, Nathan, Summer, and Emma were unable to join us this evening, so you get to do all the waving for them. And I also want to recognize, of course, their teachers, Jennifer Moore and Michelle Irving. Thank you very much for everything you do. We appreciate it very much. And if you guys could take care of all those certificates for us, and then we'll get a picture of you right outside there.
Got it.
Okay?
Awesome, thanks. Thank you guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sally. You got one more, right?
And again, don't leave. Desert Mountain student chosen for All-State Jazz Band.
Yes, if we could. Do we have Ashley Irvin with us?
Yay.
Okay. Congratulations. We are excited to announce that Ashley Irvin was chosen for the Jazz Ensemble 1 on trumpet for the All-State Jazz Band. Ashley will be the only musician from SUSD to play in the All-State Band. That's quite an honor. Congratulations. Absolutely. And we have this for you, and then we'll do photos right there. Just go that way. You're all done. Sorry, there's no more, Mrs.
I think her mom makes her practice.
A lot. And one more recognition. SAGUARO student recognizes as Volunteer of the Year.
Yeah, if we could have Danielle Mara join us. Did I see Mr. Court? Well, hey, come on up. Please, join us. Mr. Court, principal of SAGUARO High School, also. Nice work. I saw you at the robotics tournament, right? Okay. Danielle Mara was recognized at the state first LEGO League Championship as Volunteer of the Year. Danielle is a member of the SAGUARO robotics team and a mentor to middle school youth in the district. Danielle organized the FLL tournament held recently at Mojave Middle School. I attended. Well done. Nice job. Recently, Danielle wrote an essay about Glenn Bailey, one of the SaberCats robotics engineering mentors. The essay led to Mr. Bailey being recognized as the Woody Flowers recipient at the Western Regional Championship. Congratulations, Danielle. Nice work. And this is for you. And then we're going to take photos right outside that door, okay?
Outstanding. Just a sampling of the outstanding students here in the Scottsdale district. Very proud of them and our teachers. And again, 85 total national board certified teachers. Leads the state. Fantastic job. So one more time for all of our recipients. Now, you may not know that last week was the National School Counselors Week, so we want to take a moment and just recognize the fact that our school counselors play a profound role in the lives of students. Guidance is critically important along with those interventions. So for all our school counselors, we want to thank you. February 1st through the 5th is designated as Counselors Week. So if you see one, say thank you. Now, we had a very special event that occurred here just a week ago, and we had a guest that came from China. So Maestro Zhang Yu, if I said that correctly, and the members of the Scottsdale High School Honors Orchestra, comprised of students from each of our 5 high schools, had the privilege to learn from the maestro himself, the musical director and conductor of the orchestra of IAS University, standing conductor of the Orchestra of Hennay Province, and National Music Orchestra of Hennay Province. January 26th, the Honors Orchestra performed a community concert held at SAGUARO High School, conducted by Master Young. At the concert, the master presented SUSD with 2 amazing gifts, and we have those here with us this evening. So we'd like to bring those out. And Mike Miller, is that correct? If you would join us up here and maybe help with the scroll. So we know that it was through Mike's efforts as the co-fine arts academic coach and all of our high school bands and orchestra teachers that we were able to bring together this performance. And we'd like to show these at this time. Board member Perleberg was there to receive the gifts representing the governing board, and I believe she had a daughter who was playing that evening.
I did. I had the pleasure of listening to an evening of beautiful music, all put together in 2 days. Unbelievable. And if I remember correctly, it's Maestro James Zhu. Did I do better on that?
Yeah, thank you.
Kind of guessing. And we did receive this lovely gift.
Wow.
The right way here. There we go.
Unbelievable. Wow.
Wow. My goodness.
I know it tells the story, and I don't know the story. It was a beautiful night of music, incredible. Our students made us so incredibly proud, and it was an honor to attend, and thank you to Mr. Miller and everyone, the SUSD staff that helped put it together, as well as our students.
Oh, that is just
Lovely.
beautiful.
Wow. Very nice.
And I know we will find a honored place where the public is able to view this, and I guess we need to find out the story and have that interpreted as well. That would, and then we have a tea set. Yeah, some tea.
I had to wrestle them away from my daughter who wanted to drink them, but I am, it was a lovely presentation.
Yeah, thank you again. And Mr. Miller, thank you for putting that together.
Fantastic. Really cool. Hey, from Master Jin.
Great opportunity for our students, and again, for those who put it together, thank you. I had the honor on January 25th of attending the All-City Athletic Fall Sports Banquet, my first here in Scottsdale, and I have to tell you, I am so very, very impressed at that event and the wonderful athletes that were honored and their families and the coaches. It was an amazing event. We honored athletes from Arcadia and Chaparral and Coronado and Desert Mountain and Saguaro. And truly, truly, they are outstanding young people. Really enjoyed it. We could not do that without the support of all of the Charles and others who get behind these scholarships. There is a $500 scholarship that was received. So let me talk about a couple of students here. And I am not going to get this name right. So Megan, in advance, I apologize. Megan Renowicki, close, from Arcadia. And JC Hyatt from Coronado, both received the $500, and I probably killed that name too, so I apologize for that. In March, we will honor the winter sport athletes. These students that we honored were both academic and athletic award winners. If you have not had an opportunity to attend one of these, 83 athletes were honored at that event, and it was really an outstanding evening. Charles baseball event on January 28th. Scottsdale Charles invited students from Scottsdale schools to the Scottsdale Stadium for the youth luncheon and baseball clinic. Scottsdale principals chose 10 deserving students from their respective schools to attend the event, and the students enjoyed lunch and had an opportunity to learn and practice skills with retired Major League Baseball players. We're very fortunate to have this relationship with our Scottsdale Charles as our partner. Desert Mountain High School students win the 2016 Arizona State Grades Chess Championship. I used to play chess. I'm not as good as I used to be, so I'm not going to play these students. I've got a funny feeling they'll probably knock me out in 2 moves. The team was a small team, but they're mighty, and they consisted of Tony Tim, Pranav Rudra, and Sean Inns. Now, hopefully I was close on those names. The tournament was a U.S. Chess Federation sanctioned event, and there were over 20 high schools represented from across the state of Arizona. So congratulations to our champions. And again, high school division over the weekend of January 10th, so well done, students. A+ site visits, if you're familiar, A+ is a honor that schools can receive through an application process. We have 6 Scottsdale schools who have submitted A+ applications, and they're preparing for their site visits this spring. Cochise, Hohokam, Navajo, Copper Ridge, Desert Mountain, and Chaparral will all participate in site visits. We also have all of our advanced education visits, which is our reaccreditation process for our high schools occurring in all 5 high schools, and they have already started, and those visits will occur throughout the spring. And on Tonalea, on February 3rd, Tonalea Elementary School earned a silver distinction through the Beat the Odds Institute. To earn this distinction, Tonalea must have met the requirements for the Bronze Award and demonstrate academic achievement by submitting formative test data administered to the school over a period of time. The data is submitted in grades kindergarten through 5th for reading and mathematics. A school must make improvement in the majority of the grades and subjects and have received the bronze designation for the prior 13-14 school year. Congratulations, Tonalea. And the Parada del Sol is coming, and that is coming this weekend. And of course, you will see Scottsdale employees out there and getting the information about how great our district is. And we are thrilled to participate with the city in the celebration of the history of Scottsdale. Arizona Science Sci-Tech Festival will be held February 27th at the Scottsdale Civic Center Mall. The event will begin at 10 o'clock, and several of the Scottsdale schools will participate. So you can see we have a lot going on and a lot of things to celebrate, but what amazing students we have in our district.
Thank you, Dr. Birdwell. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped ahead. Public comment, number 5. The first, let's see, it's a portion of the SUSD governing board meeting when we invite the public to make comment. Although not required to do so, the governing board values the input of the community, so we feel it's an important part of communication with our stakeholders. As explained on the cover of the agenda, anyone wishing to address the governing board should fill out and submit a blue card for non-agenda matters and a white card for agenda matters. These cards are available on the table at the back of the room. For agenda matters, please indicate your desire to speak and list the item number or topic on the white card. For non-agenda matters, please take note that action taken as a result of this type of public comment will be limited to responding to any criticism made by those who have addressed the governing board, or directing staff to look into the matter, or asking that the matter be put on a future agenda. Pursuant to ARS 38-431.01G, no other discussion or legal action is allowed. Please keep in mind that public comment represents personal view of the speaker and may contain incomplete or inaccurate information. If the item is an agenda item, we encourage audience members to stay and listen to the discussion pertaining to that agenda item to gain a more full understanding. Please approach the microphone when your name is called. If we don't have too many comments tonight, there is a 3-minute speaking limit, and Vice President Perleberg will hold up cards indicating the time remaining. In all cases, public comment is subject to reasonable subject matter, place, and manner restrictions. Please word your comments so that they are not defamatory or disrespectful in nature. The first item that we have is an agenda item, and it would be Mike Norton.
Yeah, you like flash.
Dr. Birdwell, Mrs. Sneed, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I'm a longtime parent of Scottsdale Unified School District students. I've been in this district since 1994. I've had the pleasure of having 5 of my children attend Scottsdale schools, including Aztec Elementary, Copper Ridge Elementary School, Copper Ridge Middle School, Saguaro, Chaparral, and now Cheyenne. So I'm one of the few parents that attended Cheyenne both as an Aztec parent and a Cheyenne parent. I'm one of the parents that's moved around the district looking for the best solution for my children. I'm one of those parents. We'll move, we'll sell our home, we'll go to the best place we can go to get what's right for our children. That's become Cheyenne Traditional School for our children today. And we'll be members of the Cheyenne Traditional School community for another 4 years, until my little girls graduate from 8th grade and hopefully move on and continue with either the Chaparral or the Desert Mountain High Schools. I'm concerned very greatly today about the future of Cheyenne Traditional School. We've been an island of excellence in this district for a long time. We have a nucleus of 1,000 students and the parents that have all bought into the Cheyenne tradition. We want to be graded, we want to do homework, we want to be disciplined, we want to wear uniforms. We want to do everything within our power to bring our kids up to the highest level possible. And we have teachers who embrace that tradition as well. And because we have that massive buy-in at our school, we've been successful. We've been successful despite the assets that we lack and despite the funding that we're not provided. We receive a disproportionately small portion of the budget of this district. We get 70% of the funding that any other school with the same number of students would receive. And we get that because too much money is being spent to hold up schools that can no longer sustain their budgets with their existing enrollment. We talk about what happens to our underperforming schools and the needs of those schools to be supported by the district, but we forget about what happens to our top performing schools. And we're now at threat. We're threatened by the development of charters in our district that have moved into our region and are very anxious to take our enrollment, and they're doing exactly the things that we were promised we would receive by the district for many years. We were promised that we would have labs, we were promised we would have a gym, we were promised that we would have tech centers, we were promised smaller classrooms, and we haven't received those. Overrides have been passed, capital bonds have been passed, our school was ignored, and now we're looking at the threat of some of our students leaving to go attend the charters that are opening up in our district. And all they're doing is providing the things that we were promised for so many years. We need to find a way to consolidate our assets, to consolidate our effort, and to support our schools at the best manner possible before we begin to lose the islands of excellence that exist here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wally Graham for a non-agenda item.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Wally Graham. I live at 4331 East Weldon Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona. I want to introduce myself as a bond supporter, an override supporter, willing to always vote for those things, participant in a lot of things that I think are positive in the community, including president of the ARCADIA Osborne Neighborhood Association. The reason I wanted to address the board tonight is that I'm disappointed about the recent turnover of the superintendent. And I don't know all of the things that occurred with that, and I don't need to know that stuff. That'll be something you all will resolve. However, the scuttlebutt in the community is that there was conflict between the superintendent and members of the board. And I am disappointed about that, if that's true. But I accept the fact that people move on for whatever reasons they move on. What I'd like to say to the board tonight is that school districts across this nation are under attack. School districts across this nation have a tough, tough job. So if we're working inherently and internally, working against one another, if we're not cooperating and working as a team to build this district, then there's something wrong, because we're being attacked from without and attacked from within. And I would hope that this board and staff, acting superintendent and others, will bring about a level of stability and a new level of continuity. Students, staff, teachers, supporters can't have constant turnover. We need continuity, we need leadership. I hope that you all will resolve yourselves to move forward from here. Whatever those ego issues are, whatever those other problems that you have between one another, find a way as adults to work them out. We're not making or setting good examples for kids. I hope that this board will resolve itself to provide leadership and take us forward. Stop the silly stuff. That's my message tonight. Thank you.
Next is Bonnie Bizan.
Good evening, members of the board, Madam President, Dr. Birdwell, and Sandra. My name is Bonnie Bizan, and I'm the music teacher at Kiva Elementary and their SEA representative as well. First, I wanted to take a moment to thank you for the support you and the Scottsdale Foundation give teachers who are pursuing their National Board certification. Right now, like any good educational body, the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards is reviewing and updating their process to reflect current best practices. During this time, it will take candidates 3 long years to achieve their certification instead of the customary 1-year process. I started my candidacy last year and have found the process to be one of the most challenging, empowering, and beneficial journeys I have ever undertaken. I would not be able to financially be a part of this process if not for the scholarships and help given by the Arizona K-12 Center, the Scottsdale Foundation, and our district. Thank you so much for the support as I continue my quest to be the best teacher I can be. I also came here tonight to talk to you about teacher finances. I asked some of our teachers if they would share their thoughts with me about the current state of our finances so that I could share multiple perspectives with you from our site. One of our specials teachers stated, "I'm not compensated for my educational level. I have a post-grad degree, but I'm being paid on the lowest pay scale. I can't afford to live in the district I teach in. And if I was living on my teacher's salary alone, my child would qualify for reduced lunch." A member of our special education team, who's already unfortunately submitted her resignation for the next school year, stated, "Among the many other cons to this position, which all led me to finally resign, I am so overworked and underpaid that when I did the math and included the hours after school that I needed to complete all the required reports, I'm making roughly $10 an hour. I didn't pay $70,000 to go to graduate school so that I could make $10 an hour. The children are great to work with, but the enjoyment of working with them is overshadowed by the fact that I can't afford to work with them." Another teacher said, "I have moved horizontally 3 times in the last 6 years, and I get paid with tax credit money to run an extracurricular program on my campus. But 7 years of frozen salaries and the elimination of career ladder means that I still make less than what I made 10 years ago. More work for less pay is unsustainable." For me personally, I wanted to thank the district and the board for the fact that they are moving in the right direction in terms of their plans for the 301 monies. I see you putting a priority in investing this money in our teachers. But before we start patting ourselves on the back, we need to continue to look at the broader picture and realize that this needs to be the start of a conversation, not its endpoint. We have more work left to do. Thank you.
And the last card I have this evening is Julie Siniowski.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Birdwell, and Ms. Como. It seems that all too often we hear negative stories relating to education. Professionals working in this field feel it every day. Tonight, I'd like to share with you some positive experiences that recently took place in SUSD and a few ideas to change our story. Recently, students at Desert Mountain in their theater department wrapped up their children's theater project. They recreated a piece of popular children's literature, Chrysanthemum. These students rewrote the story, added real and world appeal through character development, music, stage setting, and then performed this story throughout a variety of Valley elementary schools. This engaging theater project clearly supported many academic and real-world work skills. As a parent of a child who participated in this, I saw the commitment necessary by the students and their teacher, Marilyn Mumma, for this to be successful. They sacrificed family time, social activities, and needed to put forth many late hours of studying in order to meet their other academic responsibilities. I believe we need to honor these impactful experiences as part of our SUSD story. An area of our story I feel we need to continue to address has been addressed already this evening, and that is improving the lives of all of our employees. I hear over and over again, as I'm sure many of you do, the stories of professionally trained teachers needing to take multiple jobs in order to make ends meet. Have we really thought about the impact of inadequate wages on our schools? If a teacher needs to go to work after working all day as a teacher, or must work all weekend in order to supplement their income, What burden does that bear on the longevity of these teachers? What is the long-term investment we are willing to make in our district? Are you aware that there are more certified teachers throughout our state who choose to not continue in this profession than we have current unfilled positions throughout our state? Trained and qualified individuals are leaving our profession for less important roles in society with better pay. We don't have a teacher shortage. We have a retention issue. We have an opportunity to develop a great storyline here, to change the path and become the district teachers choose to seek and choose to stay in. To start, we must prioritize better professional compensation for all of our employees. You may fall back on the excuse that so much of this is out of our control, that our state elected representatives make the funding decisions. While I challenge our community to organize and make a unified effort to replace those who oppose proper funding of our state public schools and put forth elected officials who will support the popular choice of over 80% of our families across the state. We need to be paying attention to those who support us and eliminate the representatives who have made a career choice out of not supporting our public schools. I believe that together we can change this story. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is superintendent comments. Dr. Birdwell.
No, we didn't.
Well, that's why I got messed up. It's on there twice.
The new guy takes responsibility for that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. So then the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Mrs. Kirby.
Yes, I'd like to pull item Q, please.
Okay. Any other items? Then with that, would you like to make a motion to approve the agenda without item Q, the consent agenda? Minus item Q.
Okay, sure. I move to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item Q.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay. Mrs. Perleberg seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion
Aye.
passes 5-0. Thank you. So then we will explore item 7Q.
Thank you, President Sneed. For the audience, item Q is the approval of telecommunications lease agreement for a cell tower at Ingleside Middle School and authorization for Centerline Solutions to submit the zoning adjustment application to the City of Phoenix Planning and Development. My question, if you could just solely speak to, I understand the project, but if you could just solely speak to what public involvement has taken place so far to make the public aware of this cell tower, and what involvement will happen going forward after we approve tonight, or assuming we approve tonight.
Yes, Madam President, governing board members, Dr. Birdwell, and board member Pam Kirby. To date, the proposed project has been vetted within the community as an exploratory meeting, if you will, where there was a request to create a rendering to submit to the public, and that was in the summer, just past summer. It was not an official approval of any type. It was just a vetting to see what sort of reaction there was. And so we posted and did a mailing rendering. I should say the developer did, and we convened a public meeting. No one attended. And so from that point, we proceeded forward in that in order to be able to submit to the City of Phoenix Planning and Zoning Department for approval, there must be official authorization from the governing board to do that. And in that submittal, giving the authorization to the developer, Centerline Solutions, on behalf of Verizon Communication, then public comment is available and will be brought forward to the City of Phoenix Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as there will be mailers to the surrounding neighborhood, and so that all renderings and all plans will again be scrutinized by the public and our neighbors around the school.
Okay, thank you for that process check. I appreciate it. So with that, I move to approve item Q on the consent agenda.
Actually, I think we have to have a slight adjustment of language in order to not go beyond just getting the zoning piece.
Okay.
I
Ms.
think-
Marshall?
Excuse me, sorry. I think given the explanation that Mr. Worcester just gave, you need to amend this item to authorize the Centerline Group to go forward with the application for zoning. That amendment will allow you to authorize them to pursue the zoning application, but you will not approve the proposed lease. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
It's clear, I have a clear understanding, but I'm not real certain what the motion should be. If President Sneed, she can make the motion if you're.
Okay, I'll make a stab at it.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize Centerline Solutions to submit the zoning adjustment application to the City of Phoenix Planning and Development Department for zoning.
Does that cover it? Okay.
That works? We have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. Then the next item on the agenda is item 8A, an information discussion item, update on summer bridge program and tracking student success.
Dr. Benson. This is a very hot topic for this new interim superintendent, and we're going to discuss some of it this evening, and in the same hand know that it's an ongoing topic with teachers, an ongoing topic at every level, elementary, middle, and high school, to really look at what are the issues facing us in the areas of mathematics.
Good evening again, Madam President, Governing Board members, Dr. Birdwell and Sandra. Many of you may remember that we provided a brief update on the Math Bridge Summer Support Programs hosted in SUSD last summer at our August board meeting. And at that time, we indicated we'd do a follow-up presentation to share the progress of our participating students and begin to identify process improvements we recommend to this program based on our data and the feedback we continue to get from our teachers and our principals. Tonight, I'm happy to have that opportunity to bring you this information and to make some purposeful connections to the presentation that we're going to hear from Dr. Birdwell this evening as well, that she just forecast. This will be part of her presentation as well. Specifically, within this follow-up, we'll briefly revisit the program and baselines that we established in 2015. We're going to share what we have identified are indicators of success of the program. We'll share progress monitoring data specific to our students that participated in the summer bridge programs last summer, and identify next steps, which will involve sharing some of the conversations we are currently having about math supports we have in place right now and what we believe to be important to consider to ensure our students are most successful in math moving forward. As a reminder, the Math Bridge program originated at Saguaro High School a few years ago as they purposefully targeted 8th grade students to invite to their campus to successfully bridge to Saguaro, providing math intervention supports and forming a connection to the high school during the summer prior to students entering their freshman year. The success of that program prompted us to expand the program in all high schools 2 years ago and to add a bridge opportunity from grade 5 to 6 last year for the very first time. Specifically, our goals for the summer bridge programs include, we hope to further develop the foundational skills students need to be best prepared for the next level of math. We intend to foster confidence in our students and their math abilities, providing a safe place for them to explore math, and to support students' transition to the next level, hosting our summer bridge programs within learning communities to allow our students to transition and acclimate to the campus they'll be attending, fostering connections with teachers they'll have there, whenever possible. Initial data that we identified to measure the effectiveness of our bridge programs includes the number of students we served in each program, their attendance, the number of 0.5 credits earned by our high school students participating in the bridge program in the summer. Additional indicators we are monitoring now include the grades our students are earning in 6th grade math and Algebra 1 this year, and we'll share that information in just a minute. The credits these students are earning in Algebra 1, and the performance of our students on benchmarks and AZ Merit this year and in the years to come. Another really important piece to this conversation and a measure of our success includes the stories shared by our teachers and principals specific to our students' experiences in math. We've embedded some of these anecdotal stories within this presentation to ensure the voices of our practitioners are included in these conversations. Do we have technical difficulties, or are we good?
Keep going.
Okay.
We've got a screen over here.
Just making sure we have our team ready to go. This presentation is divided into two parts to allow us to take a look at both bridge programs with the high school information included first. As a reminder, our grade 8 to 9 summer bridge program was structured as a summer school course last summer. 4 of our 5 high schools hosted a program at their campus, with students from Desert Mountain attending at Chaparral last year. In all, 15 of our SUSD teachers provided instruction last summer to 166 incoming freshmen, and 88% of the students that attended completed the course, successfully earning a half high school elective before beginning high school in the fall. With respect to progress monitoring of our students in Algebra 1 at this time, we don't have a district benchmark score at the high school level at this time, so we've chosen to use quarter 1 and semester grades in Algebra 1 as the most important progress monitoring data for participating students at this time. We've organized this information on the following slides. To clarify, the not enrolled captures those students who joined our district in the summer, so we didn't have 8th grade data on them from Scottsdale, or that left our district before a semester grade was given. So it includes both of those numbers. The blue bar graphs represent final grades of our participating students last year as SUSD 8th graders. And the orange and gray bars reflect the grades earned from quarter 1 and semester 1 of the same students in Algebra 1. The slide before you reflects the grades earned from the 43 students that participated in the summer bridge program at Arcadia last year. Progress monitoring of the students enrolled in summer math bridge at other campuses are represented on the following slides. You've had this data, so I'm going to whip through them pretty quickly. 17 students participated from grade 8 to 9 at Chaparral. 58 students participated in the summer math bridge at Coronado, hosted here last summer. 9 students from Desert Mountain attended the summer bridge program last year at Chaparral. And Saguaro had 19 students participating in their summer bridge last summer. Again, while there's a host of factors to consider when looking at grades earned by our students, anytime we see our students earning more passing grades, moving the blue columns over into the gray and the orange, further to the left, that's a cause for celebration. We know that in addition to the grades that our students are earning, other measures and performance indicators are important to this conversation as well. Drs. McNeil and Von Nechten shared our district AZ merit results by grade level and course in both ELA and math to the governing board late last fall. Though our students across Arizona took AZ merit for the first time last spring, our first results provide us with some important places to begin to pose questions about the instructional supports we're providing in ELA and math across SUSD, specific to how our kids are doing and demonstrating their understanding of standards as they're measured by the new and more rigorous state test. At first blush and big picture, we did pretty well in Algebra 1 across SUSD when compared to state averages. But context being important, our district results include the scores of our students that have been accelerated in math at the middle level, who are taking Algebra 1 successfully at their middle level campus. So when our high school teachers continue to tell us that they need additional supports at Algebra 1, their experiences are specific to the students that are under their watch at their campus, represented by the shortest bars on the graph before you. Thus, while we know our summer math bridge program to be an important start and transition support for our most struggling students in math, we also know that additional interventions may be necessary to promote effective concept recovery, true concept recovery at the high school level. We know that support models identified as successful by high schools across the valley, including our own high schools, vary in structure. And we've liked to provide that sense of autonomy to our sites to host or structure the supports in ways that are most important and meaningful to their students. 3 of the interventions identified by our sites as most effective in ensuring our students are successful in Algebra 1 and that do not allow our students to fall behind in earning the 4 courses required for graduation include the following 3. The Algebra 1 support class offered as an elective and in conjunction with Algebra 1. Lunch intervention and tutoring supports provided by teachers in the math department at many of our schools. and stacking retaking Algebra 1 during the second semester for students that were unsuccessful in Algebra 1 during the first semester. Many of our high schools have provided one or more of these options in the past. Currently, 2 of our high schools are offering at least one Algebra 1 support class as an option for our most struggling students, and one of our high schools is currently providing the stacking retaking Algebra 1 course this semester. Another of our high schools is offering the Algebra 1 support class as a part of a transition class to provide both supports to math and study skills and homework habits as well. Many of our campuses provide tutoring before or after school or during lunch on designated days at their campus as well. So I thought it was important within this presentation to show you how hard our teachers are working and how we have evidence of some of their success as part of this presentation. Evidence of the success at one of our campuses in offering Algebra 1 support courses as an intervention is included in this example. At one of our campuses, of the 42 students that participated in Summer Bridge last summer, 19 opted to take the Algebra 1 support course in conjunction with Algebra 1. And 22 of those students opted not to do so. 58% of the students that elected to take the support class saw a grade improvement in math from last year to this year, as compared to a grade decline experienced by 55% of the students that opted not to take the Algebra 1 support class. I think it's a celebration of our teachers and the work that they're doing in that class. Clearly, there's a host of factors that contribute to the success or lack thereof of any of our support models, but this current example is important to these conversations that are underway about what models work best for some of our students in terms of providing supports in ways that allow our students to be successful in this very foundational Algebra 1 course in high school. Recent evidence of success of the stacking and retaking Algebra 1 support model is captured by this example, shared by one of our high schools. Last year, of the 34 students that did not pass Algebra 1 during the first semester, when they were tucked back in, 22 of those students passed when retaking it the second semester, preventing students from falling further behind. Other campuses have had similar success with this model in previous years. Additionally, while it's a little harder to track the success of the tutoring supports offered during lunch, as that option is offered for students to attend as needed, but they're not required, students are not required to go, our anecdotal stories shared by our teachers and principals indicates that to be a successful intervention strategy as well, especially if we can situate the person that's providing the tutoring as the person that provided the Summer Bridge support. Moving forward, based on our data and the anecdotal experiences of our teachers and principals, next steps we have identified at the high school level include to continue to provide the staffing for Algebra 1 at 25-1, and to continue to provide the staffing to allow our high schools to host the Summer Bridge program at every high school campus again this summer. I do want to pause here and share that as a result of your request to share our first Summer Bridge information in August, we were approached by a family foundation and invited to apply for a grant that will allow us to provide specific supports to our teachers and students participating in Bridge. Specific areas included in this grant would allow us to provide targeted professional development for our teachers so they can learn more together about best practices that really promote concept recovery in math and what strategies might work best to motivate and support our students that are identified as underserved. A second area provided within the grant would allow an incentive for our students that are participating in our high school Bridge program, in that all kids would receive a quality, some sort of graphing calculator that's approved by AZ Merit. I'm not sure if it's TI-84 or TI-87 at the minute. This would allow our students to have access to this tool while completing their homework at home. One of the biggest concerns continue to be shared by our teachers and our students is even if they have access to a calculator while they're in school, some of our students don't have access to a calculator at home. We know that there are online calculators and other resources that would benefit our students' learning, but our students and teachers continue to share a need to have easy access to the graphing calculators as being important for our students. So if awarded this grant, this would be an incentive recommended for year one. We'll keep you informed as to the status of this grant in the months ahead, but did want to acknowledge that this grant is a possibility as a result of the hard work and ongoing efforts of our teachers, principals, students, and members of our teaching and learning team. And we're humbled by the generosity of this family to seek out opportunities to provide support to our kids that are most in line to serve and benefit from that support. Before transitioning to part two of the middle school Bridge It's difficult to kind of have this conversation because these are ongoing conversations and we're not providing you with the next steps for sure. This is what we're going to do. Lots of conversations, listening to principals, department chairs, teachers, and looking at our funding sources to identify supports that we might be able to provide are a big part of this context. But it's important to start the conversations now in order to ensure we have the supports and options ready for our sites to engage and participate in the fall. Okay, part 2. As we mentioned earlier, our second math bridge last summer included a program from grade 5 to 6. First time we've tried that. Given this was year 1, we had a variety of structured approaches at the 4 middle school campuses that hosted our incoming 6th graders. An important correction to our August presentation includes that the numbers we initially shared with you included a few dozen 6th and 7th graders that we tucked into those support options as well. So we had right about at 100 incoming 6th grade students in our 6th grade bridge. The remaining students that participated were current 7th and 8th grade students. As an aside, I will share with you this is an area we've identified as process improvement. When you have 16 elementary schools and 3 K-8s identifying students that would most benefit from the bridge program, and you're hosting at just 4 campuses, allowing our middle level host sites to have the lists of our students a little bit earlier would be respectful, and simplifying the ways that we're taking attendance and engaging in progress monitoring are areas we can improve in the future. With this many campuses, this was a little bit like herding kittens. In keeping with the purpose of this program, we have included just the 6th grade data in the following slides. Again, we're using the grades earned by our students as one way to monitor the progress of the students that participated in our summer bridge programs at our middle schools. Scores indicated in blue are those earned by participating students for the first quarter in grade 6, and those are in orange are those in the second quarter. You might remember that we have standards-based report cards going on in grade 5, so we don't have the previous grade as a letter grade to monitor from grade 5. 10 incoming students participated in the bridge program from Kokopah last year, attending at either Mountainside or Mojave Middle School. 5 incoming 6th graders from Desert Canyon Middle School attended bridge last year, again, tucking into the programs hosted at Mountainside or Mojave. 33 incoming 6th grade students attended the bridge program hosted at Ingleside last year. 11 incoming 6th grade students attended the Mountainside Bridge, but remember they had a full house as they welcomed students from many of our other campuses and included some of their grade 6 and 7 students as well. 13 incoming 6th grade students attended Mojave Middle School Summer Bridge last summer. And 10 incoming students to Supai participated in the Math Bridge held or hosted in conjunction with other summer programs that they had at Supai as well. Students from our K-8 schools are on the trimester schedule, so their graphs reflect participating students' performance during trimester 1 only. We had 3 students from Cheyenne enroll in the bridge program, 5 from Copper Ridge, and 7 students from ANLC participated as well. Just to clarify, Arcadia Neighborhood Learning Center uses a standards-based report card at their multi-age grade 5-6. Thus, the information contained in this chart shows the performance of just 7 students that participated based on 10 different evaluated standards. That one's hard to follow. Lots of good detail, but harder to follow when in comparison with the other data. Again, our conversations about our math summer bridge supports are important to situate in context with other indicators of our students' performance. Just a side note, this slide is in addition to the one that was sent to you. We do have benchmark data at the middle level, and given the newness of the bridge program, this graph includes the results of all of our current 6th graders and not just those that participated in summer bridge. Benchmark 1 was students took that between October 5th and October 30th. Results are on the slide before you. The blue at the far right shows the averages of the students that show are passing at this time, an aggregate of the 2 columns previous to that. Our sites are currently taking benchmark 2 to allow us another set of data points, and that window closes on February 19th. So between January and 25th and February 19th, our students at the 6th grade are taking benchmark 2. While we have only 1 year of AZ merit data, and we are still establishing baselines and such, a broad look at our scores at the middle level has prompted us to have some conversations and good dialogue to identify which areas our students are performing well and where we can offer more targeted supports in the form of intervention for our students and professional development for our teachers. Of particular importance and significant to us was our grade 6 cohort. We've shared with you in the past that it's been interesting because that's where our acceleration practices start, and so we know our students last year took both tests, cohort and the accelerated test, and that's had some sort of an impact on our data, but that is one that we've been monitoring. We've included the scores for benchmark 1 for this year of that cohort of students. These are 6th grade last year, those that performed, that cohort that we're watching, to monitor the progress for this year as well. With respect to the PD we're providing and supports to our teachers for this cohort of teachers, we think it's really important that persons understand that at the middle level, we have 23 teachers now representing 8 different middle level campuses participating in the professional development offered through Scottsdale Community College with that AMP partnership. In 2012, we only had 3 teachers participating in that. We didn't pick up any in 2013. We picked up 11 more participating teachers last year and 9 more participating across the district this year. So again, 23 teachers. That's intensive professional development, really talking about and working with our teachers about understanding or conceptual understandings of math and how to communicate that with our kids. Based on the stories shared by our teachers and the data of our teachers that have participated in AMP for years, we know that the time our teachers have invested in this partnership at Scottsdale Community College has been significant. Dr. Whitmore and our math curriculum specialists, Ann Foster and Kelly Davis, have planned another professional development opportunity for all of our grade 6 teachers, which actually happens next week, which will include data discussions and rotations for teachers to look at domain-specific content and talk about how they're integrating models and manipulatives and building lessons within their classrooms. This PD plan will extend to grades 5 and 7 next year. With respect to the interventions and support we currently have available to our middle level students, like our high schools, our middle school principals and teachers continue to recommend opportunities for targeted interventions for identified students to promote success in math. Middle school principals have also shared that a lack of sustained budget allocations as a result of the budget situation has been a barrier to providing consistent interventions for students. Some of our middle school principals have indicated they've started, they got something in place, and staffing is tight, and it's been difficult to sustain offering support structures at the middle level. Again, like our high schools, we know the support models look different from campus to campus at the middle level. We've got 21st century programming happening at some of our campuses, and so some of our bridge students have been invited to participate in after-school math programs. At some of our campuses, our bridge students have been scheduled into Math for Success classes at the middle school. Currently, while all of our middle schools have some sort of tutoring or support available, 4 of our middle schools are offering a support-like class or structure at this time. But just one of them has 3 sections scheduled to separate our students into a 6th grade class, a 7th grade class, and an 8th grade class. In our middle school planning guide, we've established the Math for Success course a couple of years ago, and that's really kind of where this is taken root. Persons have asked us to identify, can we take a look at providing more supports, even though it's a loss of an elective to our students, but allowing us to have targeted supports for our grade 6 students that are struggling, grade 7, and grade 8. One of our principals said we would love to have staffing for 3 sections of this support class. I firmly believe in this support class. We've just looked at our data the week prior to the start of the 2nd semester to ensure we have all the right kids in for the 2nd semester. At that campus, they have a combination 6 and 7 class and a combination 7 and 8 class. So, next steps. At the middle level, we want, again, to commit to continuing to support the Summer Bridge program, providing teachers at a 15-to-1 ratio for students most identified from grade 5 to grade 6 that would benefit from that support. We want to continue to provide the additional professional development and support and resources to our teachers, championing the AMP, PD, and involvement, and encouraging the collaboration that happens as a result of the students that are the teachers that come back after participating in the AMP targeted professional development. And we'd like to continue the conversations to identify ways to support targeted interventions specific to individual student learning gaps at the middle level. And this includes looking at moving forward supports we might provide at the elementary level as well. Dr. Birdwell is going to share in a few minutes some of her math plans and just kind of to give us a big overview of where we're at the district level in the world of teaching and learning. From the curriculum department, we do an annual review of curriculum maps in ELA and math at all grade levels every year. That happens in May and June. At that time, we identify and champion and take a look at our instructional resources, looking at our adopted materials and where we might have any gaps and do we need supplementary materials. And that's really where the synergy between the teaching and the learning departments happens, as our SPED folks have given us, our students, an opportunity for additional resources and support for targeted Tier 3 interventions. Title I and DSEG provides some support and resources to that as well. And on the other end, our friends in Gifted have extension menus for students that would benefit more from enrichment than remediation purposes. We offer PD in a variety of ways, 5 big ways. We have a summer institute that many are aware of. We had over 800 teachers participate in last year to earn staff development points and further their professional learning. We only have 2 district early releases. We continue to champion personalized learning resources on our website, so if teachers just want to learn more about teaching one concept in math, they can look on our math websites for that information. We do offer some after-school workshops and on-site coaching, and we continue to engage in instructional rounds with our principals. I'm most excited about the next steps as we continue to have conversations about what those 3 green boxes might look like at the elementary, middle, and high school levels as we continue the conversations with our teachers and principals under Dr. Birdwell's leadership, and look at funding sources and different options of support that they can choose from. And with that, there's an awful lot of information there. We could talk for weeks on what we're doing in math and what our data looks like for our kids that participated in Summer Bridge. But just wanted to extend a huge shout out to our teachers that continue to champion the learning of our students, principals that continue to support our teachers. Our counselors are important in identifying the kids that participate in Bridge. And we've got all persons from all kinds of departments that support that work as well. And with that, I will try to entertain your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Benson.
It's a lot.
Board members? Okay. Mrs. Hartman?
Thank you, President Sneed.
Thank you. First, Dr. Benson and also Dr. Whitmore, thank you for your continued focus in this area. It's great work, and to the teachers. The math supports and interventions, I think, are incredibly important as they're setting our students up for future success, which is not only high school graduation, but college and certification attainment, which is incredibly important. I have a question for you. It's really clarifying because there was just a lot of information up here. I think it was in slides 71 through 74, there was comparison of, I think, cohort data and then AZ merit data. And I think the first slide was 71. It was one of the inserted slides. And I think what I noticed, but I may be interpreting it wrong.
This be it?
Okay, so I don't know if it's cohort or benchmark. I think one said cohort, one said benchmark. I'm not sure. But it looked like the results of passing were 75% in the benchmark and in the cohort, and 45% in the AZ merit. And how do those differ between cohort and then AZ merit, and why the delta?
Okay, so of the 3 slides that we're looking at, if we're looking at this slide here, this might be 71, Board Member Hartman? Do you
I think so, yeah.
So our 6th grade benchmark data this is specific to the kids that participated in Bridge this year. How are our 6th grade kiddos doing? All 6th grade kids doing. So our Bridge kids are included in this. So when I went to this slide and I said, taking a look at the areas one of the areas we're looking at, grade 6 math, one of the grade levels that we're progress monitoring includes how our 6th graders last year did. So those are not our Bridge kids. And that's this slide here, and I didn't explain that very well, so I appreciate you giving us a chance to go back and look at that. So let's take a look at that. This is where they were last year, AZ Merit. And as our vendor has transitioned to align the benchmarks now in keeping with what we know are the cut scores, because remember a year ago, All vendors didn't know what the cut scores would be for AZ Merit, so there wasn't a close alignment. This year, there should be a better alignment, and in progress monitoring grade 6 kiddos, here's where we're at right now, benchmark 1 in October. So 79% of kids total last year's 6th grade cohort passing at that time.
So this slide represents the students that went through the bridge program?
No.
It's all?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all students. So this slide represents all students that you're seeing here.
Okay. That's significant then. And then we're reading that 40% to 75%.
Correct. We're hopeful we're on track.
Okay. Then double thank you for the work that you're doing. If that represents the progress that we're making, that's amazing.
And we continue to look for how closely aligned our benchmark data will be with the next year's AZ Merit results as well, too, because we're still in year 2 and are establishing baselines. So it's a great resource for progress monitoring. The details within it, kid by kid and by quartile, are significant. This is just a big overview slide of that for all kids in that cohort. Yeah. I appreciate you letting me the opportunity to clarify that.
Mr. Jackson.
Okay.
Oh.
Nope. I'll take it away. Dr. Benson, thank you.
Switch, maybe.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. You changed seats, but go ahead.
I agree. This is incredibly important stuff. Tell me again how long this program, the bridge program's been in place. I know it started at SAGUARO, but how long?
Board Member Jackson, we've had lots of different models going on, so there's been summer school type programs happening at our campuses for a long time. The Bridge program a couple years ago was very much a targeted approach to look at the struggling students coming out of one of our campuses, and SAGUARO tucked them in that transition piece. That first year, SAGUARO actually did an enrichment piece as well, I think, if I'm speaking right, Mr. Court, in that they targeted students that already took Algebra 1 and offered a separate enrichment opportunity for them to get beefed up and ready to go to geometry as well.
2 years.
Was it 8th grade going to Algebra 1? Past 2 years. So we offered that again last year as well. So we just pulled your bridge kiddos that were those we identified as the struggling part and not as the enrichment part of this presentation. So let me answer your question a little bit better. So SAGUARO has been offering the model for a couple, 3 years. All of our campuses we offered 2 years ago, and then this data reflects the one last year. So all campuses 2 years. And then our brand new babies from grade 5 to 6, so this is our first try at harnessing that support for them across the district.
Okay, so, and I'll be quick, but you had mentioned a family foundation that was potentially looking at underwriting, I assume just the middle to high school portion of this, is that correct?
That's correct. They have targeted as Algebra 1 being the most important foundational support that they might be able to offer for all kids, knowing the success of Algebra 1 and how critical that is to graduation rates and kids being college and career ready.
Right, so that's why I want to focus on that for just a second. If that foundation money does not materialize, I just want to make sure we are funded. We will continue with this program regardless of that, correct?
The Bridge program, correct.
Okay, and I guess I'm going to ask you, Dr. Benson, is the funding appropriate for this? I mean, do you feel, I guess I'm putting you on the spot a bit, but do you feel like there's enough funding? Because I think this is hugely critical, not being an educator, but from my rudimentary understanding that this is critical stuff for all the reasons you just mentioned. Do you have sufficient funding if this does not materialize?
Great question, Board Member Jackson. We do have funding to offer the Bridge program like we have done in past by using multiple different sources, including DSEG funding, which is under fire because we're providing supports to our most underserved populations of students. We don't have, at this time, allocated dollars for the incentives to our teachers for professional development or the incentives for our students. And so that's really what we're looking at this time in terms of that support from this foundation.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Perleberg.
Thank you, and yes, thank you again for all this very important information and reviewing with us all the hard work going on. We obviously all do recognize this is incredibly important for our students' success in the future. So I don't really have questions per se. This is a lot of information to process, and I do respect the fact that this is ongoing work.
Correct.
That is new, and we are in a new environment as well. As far as defining success. So I don't really specifically have questions. What I'd rather provide is some input that I've received as a board member from math teachers that I'm just hopeful can become a part of the dialogue. It may, I'm not even going to suggest that it's not already a part of the dialogue, but maybe in our conversations as well, that it be included in the future. And one of it is the first one is kind of a question of what would or could compulsory participation for our students look like, or what are the issues involved there? The second one is really comes from a place of research that, again, I'm sharing input that really questions whether developmentally a lot of our students, our children, are ready for algebra concepts or higher math concepts at certain ages. And as far as having that discussion within our district and what we recognize and what we acknowledge regarding that developmental difference in our students, what sort of alternative placements might we have than Algebra 1 in ninth grade alone, or what does that look like for us? And then the third source of input was the idea of always when we have these discussions, middle school, high school, always so important, but we also know it starts in elementary school, a lot of these struggles for our students. And it was a question to me that our elementary teachers quite often, math is not their favorite subject. That's a broad generalization, obviously. And what was suggested, and it just really resonated with me, is the idea that grabbing those elementary school teachers that do have, maybe they like math a little bit better than the rest, having those either at a grade level, one teacher at each grade level that says, math is my focus on these students, and really helps provide that guidance, that research, everything that kind of, a lot of our elementary teachers will need, or maybe they become the teacher where those students who need help or need enrichment or whatever, that's the teacher for them. And so I'll just put out those three discussions there and look forward to them. Thank you.
I appreciate that. 3 key ideas, Board Member Perlberg. We have had conversations about all 3, but with respect to the first one, I just wanted to quick respond and say, with compulsory participation, we've had different models. Our campuses have tried different things. Some of our campuses purposely schedule kiddos into support classes and then have conversations if parents would like to get out. Our middle school principals have said, can we do a better job at teaching our elementary families what bridge is and what supports look like? So we've agreed to help craft messages for them as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Kirby.
Thank you, Dr. Benson, for your presentation, and also for the Q&A exchange that we had this week leading up to the meeting. Like Board Member Perlberg, I just have a couple of comments as you move forward with consideration of investments. I'm very excited about the opportunity to invest in our elementary schools, because we all know that our students don't get to 6th grade and all of a sudden just need math help. It's a build. Correct. So the sooner we can intervene, then we'll head a lot of that off. In that regard, I would just ask you to consider, I'm going to call it activity-based investment strategies. And by that, I mean 2 things. First, look at, for example, we have one school where 4 out of 5 of our 3rd graders did not pass AZ Merit. We have another school where less than 1 out of 5 of our 3rd graders did not pass AZ Merit. So by definition, the first school I mentioned should probably get more of an intervention investment than the second school. And then along those same lines, we do have some schools that have 350, I'm talking elementary, 350 students. And then we have another elementary that has 800. So by definition, they will also need varying levels of intervention. And so it's a bit of a Rubik's Cube, and it's not easy to do. But I would just ask that we start to think about it that way so that we truly can get the most bang for our very limited dollars.
Agreed. And we appreciate the encouragement to have different options available based on the performance of our schools moving forward. The support models likely won't look the same at all of our schools based on data, and our principals and teachers need to have opportunities to shape what that looks like moving forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and I apologize for not asking this question before tonight, but it didn't jump out at me while I was looking at the presentation until something that you said. We have some students that are accelerated. And so my understanding, and I want to check for understanding here, is that some of them took tests at their grade level and at the accelerated level, so they're included in more than one place here?
That is the clarification, Board Member Sneed, President Sneed, that we got from the ADE. And so we've had some conversations with our colleagues across the district to see if they're paying attention, or across the valley to see if they're paying attention to that as well. This year that won't happen. They will only be tested at one grade level.
And
so,
can you tell me which?
I believe it's going to be cohort. So the course that they're in. So if I'm a 6th grader and I'm taking the 7th grade class, I'm taking the 7th grade class. Ames was the opposite. Kyle, I'm looking at you to make sure that's not changed, because you never know from one week to the next if there's been a change in that from our friends at the ADE. But that's been a pretty consistent message for the last couple months, that not like Ames, but based on the course that you're really in, that's where you'll be tested and your results will show up.
And that will be consistent across all of the state?
Correct.
Thank
So
you.
acceleration practices are really important at this time, because some persons don't offer acceleration practices, some are double accelerating, and so I think it's going to be really interesting to watch.
Well, and I think the enrichment then offerings will help with a lot of those
Agreed.
kiddos. Yeah. Well, thank you, and I'm sorry I didn't mean to put you on the spot for that. Mr. Jackson, did you have one more question?
Yeah, one real quick comment. And Dr. Birdwell, I guess I'd like to say this, I can't overstate, I think, how important this bridge program is to help these struggling math students come along. And I just think we need to make sure that we have, I'm coming back to money, I guess, that we have sufficient funds for this. I'm not an educator, but I can't think of a few things more important than helping struggling math students get on track. So I'm just, I guess, making a comment that I'd like to keep that in the front and foremost, that we make sure that we find sufficient funding to keep this program viable. And things like this Family Foundation is fantastic, of course, but we need to make sure Dr. Benson and everyone has the funding to keep this program, and I think expand it if we need to, and have professional development dollars. Easy for me to stay sitting here, but nonetheless, we need to make priorities, and I think this needs to be a big one.
Mrs. Kirby.
Thank you. I just want to piggyback on Board Member Jackson's comment. I agree. And one thing that struck me as you were presenting on the middle school slide, I think you were sharing some anecdotal data where middle schools were saying that they because of staffing, they couldn't keep the program running. And we might have to look at our staffing practices in the district to have some sacred cows, for lack of a better word, in our classrooms, and not to be very top down and telling our principals exactly what you will do, but demonstrating the need, getting their buy-in, and then providing the funding, as Board Member Jackson stated. So, thank you.
Agree.
And while we're on that topic, if I could just say, it's both ends of the spectrum. It's the interventions early on, and I'll hit that in a minute, but it's also allowing the enrichment and the advancement of the student who's ready to take off and soar. Sometimes we forget that that end needs just as much support as the student who's struggling, and we need to let them soar. We need to get them to the next level and let them take off as soon as they're ready. Because yes, they do come at different levels to us.
Thank you, everybody. The next item on the agenda is item 8B, information discussion item, the interim superintendent focus. So introduce Dr. Birdwell.
Thank you, Governing Board, President Steen, Governing Board, and community, and the staff that I've been so graciously given. It's been an honor to become part of the Scottsdale family and to quickly be warmed and welcomed here by parents, by our staff, by the Governing Board, and given this wonderful responsibility to be part of something great. And I truly mean that. There are so many wonderful, wonderful things happening across this district. It is my goal to have Scottsdale be a destiny district, that when you come to the Scottsdale community and you're looking for education, that you choose Scottsdale Unified School District and not those other folks out there, not to be named. So you're going to hear my focus. Yes, I'm the interim. I have a 6-month focus here. I am happy to share with you. But one last time before I go on, I have been visiting campuses. I have been out in the communities. I've been at forums. And everywhere I go, I am so impressed with the excitement around students. And when I heard the staff talk about, tell me about your school, it always comes back to we have great kids. We have great parents. We have a wonderful staff. Our colleagues are wonderful to work with. I have to tell you, we have a great foundation here. And so I'm excited to be a part of this new energy. That said, it starts me right where I like to start, which is creating a student-focused culture. And in reality, that is really who I am as a leader, but I also believe it's who we are as an educational institution. Education has changed over time. Early on, we used to talk about, we'd focus about just the K-12 students or just the elementary. Matter of fact, we turned the clock back, and not so far in this state, the focus was on kindergarten through 8th grade and then get out in the field and go to work. That hasn't been that many years. But education evolved as our economy evolved, as our state evolved. And quite honestly, we then moved into a K-12 focus. We said, no, you've got to get that high school diploma and then you're workforce ready. And now it's changed again. It's pre-K 20. The focus is truly, if you're going to be part of this workforce, you must go on to some type of post-secondary opportunity. So at every discussion that we have, we really need to make students the center of all of those decisions with a pre-K 20 concept in mind. That is what I will be working on over the next 6 months, making sure that our culture puts the students first. All students, all the time. And quite honestly, it's an exciting conversation as I've spent time with each of the governing board members. There's not a doubt in my mind that every board member here has students at the hearts of what they're doing. And it's been exciting to begin to become part of this team. I really look forward to some time talking about the future of learning, what's going to happen here in our district, but what's happening in our state and across the nation. And finally on this slide, organizational management is critical to making sure these things happen. Organizational management that centers back to that one most critical point, the learner. So whatever we're doing at the district office must come back to how are we servicing the learners in our community? Do we understand that that is why we are here? We are educators educating children, and that is our business. So that will be a heavy focus over the next 6 months, and as I've gone out, I've talked about that. Academic excellence. By all means, you heard a little bit of mathematics, even more so as we try to identify why are those gaps occurring. We're going to break those reports down, the benchmarks, into quartiles and look at lowest quartiles. Is there truly growth within the lower quartile? Is there growth in the next quartile? And do we have growth occurring in the upper quartiles? Because we want to see that advanced level students are still advancing. It's great to be in the 90th percentile. It's hard to keep students there, but more importantly, are they growing at the rate that they should grow, and we're allowing them the opportunity to grow even faster. So we want to break those pieces down. There are really 3 cylinders that we look at. Is our curriculum where the curriculum needs to be? Is it standards aligned? And we do that by starting with the senior classes and working our way all the way down into the kindergarten and the preschool and how we're servicing our students. We look for overlapping, we do gap analysis, we want to make sure that we look at, are we measuring the appropriate outcomes along the way? So the other quartile over here in assessment. If you have curriculum aligned and you have assessment appropriately aligned, and we still have missing pieces for students, we must turn the focus on to instructional delivery. Are we delivering the curriculum in a manner that students can absorb it, that they can understand it? Are we reteaching when we need to do that? Are we using formative assessments to give teachers the opportunity to reteach the material to our students? So these are the focuses in mathematics. You are absolutely right. They don't arrive in 6th grade all of a sudden not understanding math. We could probably peel the layer of that and go right back into the 2nd and 3rd grade. And yes, a lot of elementary teachers are uncomfortable with certain areas, and mathematics tends to be one. So how are we supporting our elementary teachers in the area of mathematics, both from a professional development standpoint and from a staffing point? And that's an area that we continue to struggle with, but we need to be looking at that. So it's that teacher support piece that I think is just as important. Get past the standards piece, make sure the curriculum is there, look for the gap analysis, and then get into how we're supporting teachers with the curriculum. Do they have the update? Are they getting in and looking? It's one thing to post it and put it up. It's another thing to make sure the teachers have opened it and read it and they're embracing it. And that's why it's so important that our teachers are involved in every step along the way. We also need to look at the tools that teachers have at their fingertips in order to deliver the very best instruction and curriculum that we can. So Arizona has starved our teachers. We truly have. We've been starving our teachers for years in the aspect of the appropriate teaching tools and the appropriate professional development to assure for the excellence. And we hear about teachers who leave our field. What a shame. But it is a reality, because there are two things at play. Yes, money is one side of it. The other is the environment in which I teach. Is it supporting me to get my job done in the manner that I need to? Because I have a moral and ethical obligation to children, and I teach because I love them. So let's support our teachers properly. Classroom support for learners, yes, we need our tiered support, but that tiered support can't stop at the 5th grade. It has to go all the way down when we began our math facts. Because if you go back and kids that are struggling in the 9th grade, we can trace it all the way back down into the 3rd grade, that math struggler in the 9th really began to struggle in the 3rd grade, but we didn't intervene. We have a heavy focus on literacy in early grades, and we tend to be very comfortable with the teaching of literature and the teaching of writing, and we tend to kind of move past when they don't get it in mathematics and think that they'll catch it eventually. It's more difficult to teach than the teaching of reading. I honor kindergarten, 1st grade, and 3rd grade teachers, and what they do is critically important. And then I turn and I look to those 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers and say, what you teach in mathematics is so critically important for these kids to be able to learn mathematic equations. So it's an area that we want to spend some time with. I'm not saying ignore literacy. I'm not saying ignore social studies for our folks who love the history out there. I'm simply saying the two areas we're being measured right now, we really have got to put a microscope on those and look into those quartiles. So that's a couple areas of focus academically. Instructional leadership, it is not done without great instructors. We know the greatest impact on learning is the teacher. By means, we can give you all the research there. But also, there's a heavy impact on learning by the instructional leadership in the school. So we need to make sure that those instructional leaders are trained in the areas that they need to be trained in and are supported in order to make sure that they can do their jobs well. And that support comes through clear understanding of what is continuous improvement processes. And that means that I understand goals, and writing SMART goals is critically important, developing a culture and climate around data, and making data a part of our decision-making process so that we then are servicing in laser-like focus the students who need our help and our attention as we move forward. I also would like to see us really work on and continue to focus on that service-oriented climate and culture, the customer service. How are we treating and welcoming our parents? Are we helping our parents identify the needs for their learner, and are we helping them find the school that's the best fit for them? So we must truly understand who we serve, what their needs are, and how we measure those. And then make sure we help parents in that educational journey. It is not the journey that we took. In the days that I went to school, all you needed was one math class in high school, unless you were going to go be an accountant, unless you were going to be a financial advisor, unless you really loved math. The rest of us had to take one class. Not so today. Not so. You have to have the full understanding of the journey that you're going to take. And many of our parents today in the 3rd grade will be asking us about college. Are we as educators ready to answer those questions? And are our instructional leaders, are our administrators, and are they supporting our teachers, and are we able to have those conversations with parents? So some development here, and particularly summer workshops. Communication and marketing. We are the Scottsdale Unified School District. Let us not forget who we are. And I have to tell you, from somebody who comes outside, you still have the image that you are a leader in Arizona education. However, we have some areas of scores that do not show that, and we need to address those. So we're going to get out, we're going to refresh our branding, our message to our customer, we're going to listen to our consumer, which are our parents and our students, and we're going to deliver that message about preparing for the future. We've got postcards going out from all of our learning communities. They should be hitting the mailboxes this week. We're very excited. We appreciated the input we got from the board at the work study. We've got our magazine coming out. We're developing individual mailers for our schools. We're having the on-site meetings. We've had 1,000 tours already. Video posting that we want to get up about our schools, so the parents today are very technology savvy. They go to the website, they want a quick view, give me a 2-minute video of what it looks like to be a student in that class today. We want to make sure all of those means and social medias are available to our parents. But most importantly, we need to understand what our consumer wants. If they choose to leave us, why are they leaving us? If they choose to go to Basis, why did they choose that? If they choose to go to Great Hearts, why are they choosing Great Hearts? We want them to choose us. So we're going to look at some of those programs that draw parents and families in, those enrichment programs, these advanced programs, the wonderful work at Cheyenne. And we haven't forgot that you're there, and I can't wait to go on the 23rd and meet everybody. But we have great pockets occurring, and we ought to take a good look at that and say, why are families standing in line to get into those schools? And can we duplicate that effort? Can we expand that effort? Are we supporting those efforts as well? And that's something that we need to do in order to market ourselves, including taking a close look at things like our gifted program. And I will tell you that I've already begun that process. So those are the programs that draw parents in. Parents want a competitive academic opportunity for their student, no matter where their student starts. No matter where their student starts, they expect a bright future. Our job for our consumers is to deliver the dream, and the dream is that any student can go to college, can be trained, and have a successful life. And we have an ethical obligation to do that. So we're out talking about these things, and I get real excited about it, as you can tell. We have fiscal responsibilities. You're absolutely right. We need to make sure the dollars are there to support these initiatives and our teachers. So we got to first start by answering the audit. Got to get that done. We need to look at the answers, make sure that the answers are accurate, make sure that we're dealing with the areas that an audit says we need to improve in. Absolutely. Audits are meant to tell us to improve. We should welcome the feedback, we should embrace the feedback, and then we should change the practice if it needs to be changed. We've got Budget 2016 rolling out. It needs to focus on students. It needs to focus on teaching. If there's any way that we can draw those dollars in around our student-centered environment, that's what we ought to be doing. There's a possibility of Prop 123. It may or may not happen. If it doesn't happen, then quite honestly, c'est la vie. It doesn't stop education, and it doesn't stop intervention, and it doesn't stop us from being great. It just simply is another bump in the road. We have another cliff coming at us. Prop 301 is going to sunset in 2021, and for many of us, that seems like a very long ways away, but it's only 5 years. And in our base pay for our teachers is 8% of 301 dollars. That's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have the dollars there. As a matter of fact, if it was up to me, we'd have more money there. The reality is teachers are underpaid, there's no doubt about it, but we have to come up with a plan of what's going to happen when 301 sunsets, and it will sunset. The voters only gave us that dollars for so long, so we have to create a plan that says, what will we do in 5 years? And we do that over time. There is the conversation of a potential bond and capital override. Every district has that conversation, and we ought to have it too. To be or not to be is the question, and we don't know the answer, but we will by the time that we're required to make a decision, and that's not till June 10th. In looking at that, I can tell you that I will bring you 4 different perspectives to that. One came out of what was already work that we need to honor, and that was through the BRAC, and we'll look at the recommendations. But I've challenged our educational systems folks, our administrators, to have deeper conversations about programs that exist today, programs that are attracting families, programs that are getting our kids to those dreams. And what should that look like? What does it mean to the learner? And how does it actually look inside the system? Because the educational environment is different today than it was. Flexible spacing is important. Being able to allow students to work with other students, to be able to do collaboration and group projects and creativity. All of those 21st century skills are still there and necessary. Problem solving, applied algebraic formulas, even at the 3rd grade. So understanding what the educational systems are today helps us design a better system as we go forward. Because if indeed we choose to move forward and rebuild schools, we should build them better than they are today. We should make them a better learning environment for all children. And inside those systems are the programs that we use to teach. Building analysis. We will study each building in the district, particularly 7 potential rebuilds. We will provide a forensic analysis and educational specifications, potential designs, new demographic analysis, and both look at the SFB capacity, the School Facilities Board capacity, and this little thing called usage capacity. And that's where we tend to confuse our community. Now, as a school principal years ago, I can tell you if you gave me a couple extra rooms, I used them. You bet, we spread out. It's kind of like your kids at home, right? One goes off to college and all of a sudden you notice that bedroom got used up before it became your hobby room. That's what happens. You give us space, we tend to spread out. But the reality is, how are they used from an educational perspective? And how much space is necessary to appropriately educate a special needs child? How much is appropriate for a gifted class? What are we doing in those aspects to actually meet our needs of our students? So we'll study that together. And then finally, as a conclusion, we'll bring together educational specializations. In other words, meeting the customers of today and their future, the future that they desire for their children. What do our parents want? What does the learner need to be successful? And what will the future programming look like? And there are lots of alternatives out there. And trust me, our competitor has figured it out, and they're putting those types of programs out there. And we need to consider that as well. So if we first choose to go out and our voter supports us, let us do it better than we've ever done it before. Let's do it right. Let's get back in the ballgame and let's be the choice district. Let's be that choice for all of our families. And I believe that we can do that. Community relations, some final thoughts here. We have 4 groups working for this district, but really the synergy exists around the Scottsdale Unified District. So first, let me talk about the foundation. What a great organization, and how lucky we are to have teacher innovation supported. What a great program. And to support professional development and national board certified teachers, we are blessed to have that. That does not exist in most places. Matter of fact, I've worked in 6 districts and that's the first time I've seen it. So it's very exciting to see innovation as a piece of that. Great organization. Very much focused on teaching and learning. Yes to children. That's a political action group. We don't get to do a whole lot with them. But boy, they are important to a school district. But our job as a school district is to provide factual information, accurate information, and don't change the numbers on them. Gets them in trouble. So we need to be accurate with what we give them. Scottsdale Parent Council, what an important group there. The parents communicating with the PTOs and the booster clubs and having that line of direct communication and giving those updates. What a terrific group to work with. And then a new group that's come online, and very excited about working with them, Business United for Scottsdale Schools. It's the Workforce Ready group. It's the career and technical education piece. It's looking to the future. It's the biotechnology. It's looking at the engineering, the programs in our STEM. It gets us really to that next level. And it's a student-centered group. And I have to tell you, we need that. We need a place that we can immediately align students to intern opportunities to showcase the great students that we have in the school district and the things that they're learning. Often, over and over, no matter what district I'm in this state, parents come into schools and like, I didn't know that was happening. Wow, I didn't know we had robotics. Boy, look at the wonderful graphics design taking place. I didn't know you had TV productions and kids were actually in front of a camera. We are some of the best kept secrets in public schools, and we need to get out there and let people know. And these are the folks who help us do that. And they do it in a beautiful manner. And I really believe that the synergy that can be created by these 4 organizations centered around the school district will benefit us moving forward. And I look forward to working with each of the organizations in the appropriate and legal manner that I can, particularly in the Yes to Children. But certainly, again, to acknowledge that we have great support. Underneath that parent council, you've got hundreds of PTO hardworking parents that are actively engaged in each one of our schools. And to be able to tap through our parent council a conversation with those folks moves us forward in meeting the needs of students. So I'm very pleased to be here. I'm very happy that and very honored that you gave me this chance. So that's in a 30,000-foot view, folks. The next 6 months, if I'm running hard, trust me, I'm running hard right now. Sandra, I thank you for the calendar that you gave me and the scheduling that you do. She's a magician over there, and honestly, I forgot how hard you run when you come into such a high-performing district. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Birdwell. This item on the agenda wasn't really to initiate board discussion because there aren't specific items noticed, but we just wanted Dr. Birdwell to give the community and staff and the board her highlights. And thank you for meeting with everybody and meeting all of our staff, and her memory for names is amazing. Just thank you so much for all the hard work you're doing, for jumping right in there. The next item on the agenda is future items. Board members may propose topics for future consideration. And I think Sandra just sent out the new tentative list, so we're pretty filled up for the year. Dates of upcoming meetings. We have on Friday, February 12th at 1 o'clock, a special session. Thursday, March 17th at 12 o'clock, a study session. Oh, that's right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all for that.
Everybody can make it at 2? Good. Tuesday, March 22nd, okay, so that, I'm going to go back on that one. Thursday, March 17th will be at 2 o'clock, is a board study session. And Tuesday, March 22nd at 5 o'clock, regular board meeting. So the next item on the agenda is governing board reports. Anybody? Mrs. Hartman.
Thank you, President Sneed. Just a couple of updates between the January and tonight's meeting, the February meeting. From a community outreach perspective, I've been participating in a conversation with our A&LC parents and bringing that forward to our district and site leadership to move that, to continue to support that process and moving that dialogue forward. I had an outstanding meeting with our SEA President Julie. I think she's here today, and the focus of our conversation was on teacher attraction, retention opportunities and strategies. So always glad to support what's happening with our SEA and our leadership. From a community partnership perspective, since January, I've been continuing to work with Board Member Jackson with the bus community, the bus organization, and a plug for an event that's happening on the morning of February 17th. It is the first bus outreach event that's being hosted at SkySong that is going to be highlighting our STEM and robotics programs with the business community. And then continuing to work on the puzzle that Dr. Birdwell identified, which is have been meeting with SUSD Foundation, Scottsdale Parent Council, and Yes to Children leadership to continue to move us forward in greater alignment to support the mission of the district, because together we're much more powerful. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hartman. I just met with some constituents, some that are parents and some that are senior citizens. And since most of our community revolves around people with no students in the district, with no children in the district, and that's an important part of people that we need to meet with. Also attended Scottsdale Parent Council meeting. I think Ms. Perleberg was there as well. And that was at Arcadia High School this time. And I wanted to thank Michelle Ottstadt for hosting my tour at Copper Ridge Middle School. Actually, K-8, sorry about that. And pre-K, too. And also thank Dr. Benjamin Rote for hosting my tour at ANLC. And Lori Pizzo also for hosting a tour at Tonalea. And I wanted to thank Marilyn Muma for inviting me to the Tonalea drama class production of Chrysanthemum that was presented at Tonalea's Family Reading Night. It was very exciting. So with that, make a motion to adjourn. Do you have, okay, it looks like Ms. Hartman made a motion. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Barbara Perleberg, second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye, that motion passes 5-0. Thank you, good night, everyone. Thank you for being here.